Last night was the how many numbers?
Grammys. It was Sunday night, 2 nights ago.
2 nights ago. Thank you. 2 nights ago. It was the Grammys.
53rd, maybe?
What was it?
I don't know.
A lot. It was a lot.
Grammys 2022. That's all I care
2022. Darren, I have to admittedly, I have not actually watched the Grammys yet. Being a playing musician, I was playing shows this weekend. I was busy. I haven't gotten to it. However, I ran through some of the winners, but you did watch it.
I did watch. I took notes. I would love to interject to this conversation. By the way, Mike and I, we just get down here and start talking like you're sitting right here in our own music studio.
Mm-hmm.
But as a playing musician, how do playing musicians feel about awards in general?
Yeah,
We've talked about this, but I'm curious for you to expand on it.
Thank you. It's a wonderful question.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, I have a phrase that I communicate to all of my artists that I work with. I produce and I play with young students as well. So here's like a good PSA. Thank you. It is your job. It's your job to apply for awards. But awards, while they might feel good, ultimately, in my opinion, in the arts, don't mean anything. But you still need to shoot for them, be part of those cultures and those communities. They're typically wonderful cultures and communities. There's so many different awards. So my belief on that is apply, be part of those awards, shoot for them, but it doesn't mean anything for your art. Keep making your art, do your art, build, record as much as you can, play as much as you can. Nobody needs to tell you that you're great at what you do. However, go for it, shoot for it. And if it makes you feel good for those awards when they come around, fantastic. I mean, who doesn't get a little peachy feeling when somebody else says, hey, we really like this? But don't ever let it stunt any of your art, because at the end of the day, who cares?
I can tell you, as a fan of music, I completely agree with you 100%. As a business owner who lives in the world of marketing, this is where marketing and music are exactly the same. So marketing and every other group gives out their own awards. I've won multiple marketing awards, as have my agency, and people that work for me have won multiple awards. I don't give a flip about any of them at all. I think they're silly. They're self-congratulatory.
For sure.
They mean zero.
Yes.
However, several times a year, I will get asked, have you ever won a Marcom Award? Have you ever won an Addy Award?
Right.
When you're doing a request for proposal, they have that to fill in. And I have to how many did we win and what were they for again? There is intrinsic value in the marketplace for those things. I don't understand it, but it's part of my job. You have to play that game.
It does not define you. Release and go.
It doesn't.
But
it doesn't
part of
measure
your
success or. It might measure your acceptance or popularity. It doesn't measure the content and creativity and the contribution that you're putting in the marketplace.
That's it.
That's what makes me insane about award
Now that
shows.
being said, let's
wipe
go
all that clean and talk about the Grammys 2022
awards and people that won it, because it does what you said. It puts them on different people's radar.
Right.
So let's start going, Darren. What do you got?
I have a couple of notes in no particular order. They're a little bit in order. So the host was Trevor Noah of the Daily Show, who I do like. Trevor Noah. I find him to be incredibly smart and funny.
Agreed.
I was very curious how he was going to play the Oscars and the whole Will Smith. He had one sly joke about it. The rest of the night, he played it incredibly safe. His jokes were incredibly safe. There were actually very few jokes even in the entire program.
Yeah.
He was on camera a lot, but it was a lot of rah-rah cheering.
Yeah.
Saying constant positive things
Yeah.
about everyone in the room. There was no bite to it at all.
I like it.
Now, that has always historically been a part of the Grammys, but Trevor...
You mean not having bite to it? Yeah, being a little bit
Trevor
kinder.
really, really went to the far end. It's not that you have to make fun of people or be mean, but I think it's okay to poke fun at the elephant in the room.
You and me, this is where we stand on the opposite side of the spectrum.
But it was
because I don't think there's any need to poke, and I think there's funny things to be said that can be reinforcing. The older I get, the less I want to poke at things. But I do understand it, and I still find it humorous when somebody has like a tasteful joke.
I think you can find humor in just about any situation. And I think humor about horrible things helps
It can
heal.
alleviate.
It
Sometimes
helps
it can alleviate.
process and identify things, and it forces you to face them.
Right.
So you don't just push it off and pretend like it's not a real thing. But his jokes were dad jokes that were watered down.
Yeah.
I mean, if you see a stand-up, and I have, he's the polar opposite of that.
Is
anyway, he did a wonderful job.
Is he pretty brash?
He's very George Carlin-esque.
Really?
In real life. He's incredibly smart, very insightful.
So he peeled it back for sure.
Yeah. It was. They could have gotten anybody that looked good and spoke well.
Sure.
Up there to do that.
Okay.
And it
so you were unenamored by Trevor's job.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Second thing, whether you like it or not, or accept it or not, Chris Stapleton is the absolute carved into the stone face of Nashville right now.
King of the castle, sit on the stone. Dude, he took out some big hitters up against him, and it was like, I was really surprised actually that he took it.
He is the go-to guy for Nashville.
That's it.
And I wonder, this is my point, Nashville has changed so much to the point I can't even recognize it anymore. Mm-hmm. If they are clinging to this guy and dare life, that he's traditional Nashville relative to the Osborne brothers and all the other newer, younger artists, Walker Hayes, who is rapping fancy like Applebee's, and Chris is more of the traditional safe bet. I wonder if that's what they're doing. The other thing is, too, usually when somebody is the face of somebody or something, I'm not that enamored with him. I happen to love Chris Stapleton and think he deserves all the accolades. Every single award, every single year for the last 5 years, I don't know about that.
Yeah, he took the cake.
He is the face of Nashville. There's no denying his place among the Nashville stars over the last 100 years. He's the man right now, by far.
Absolutely. And I mean, I guess I'm very fine with it. I really like Chris. I think he's awesome.
I'm fine with it too. I'm surprised is what I'm saying.
Yeah, me too. There were some other female artists that were up there. I can't remember the three, but I thought any of them could have taken it for some of the country stuff. So I was surprised when Chris really swept a ton of it.
Yes,
he did. I also was kind of like, man.
But this is like 4 or 5 years in a row now for Chris Stapleton.
I know.
And again, I love Chris. If you were to say, Darren, you only get one concert this year to go see,
really,
one and only one, I would go pick Chris. I think he's freaking amazing. The way he sings is just out of this world.
So here's some of the other people. Maren Morris was one of them up against Chris.
Who's wonderful.
Casey Musgrave,
also wonderful,
was up against it. Thomas Rhett was up in there as well.
I don't think he's wonderful, but he's popular.
And then Walker Hayes, of course, which you had mentioned, and Mickey Guyton. I'm very surprised. I'm surprised they gave it to Chris. Deservedly, I'm with it. I'm for it. But I think Casey could have taken that one as well. Maybe Maren, but I don't think so. Walker Hayes could have taken it for sure just by the popularity of the song. So I'm surprised. But
I would have kicked over the TV if Walker Hayes would have won. But
yeah. Well, he didn't. So you're good. Okay.
But he's the man. So speaking of established, Lady Gaga sang 2 jazz songs with an orchestra band. And I've said, if you listen to our show on this radio station and or a YouTube show, I've said for years now, Lady Gaga is the best top pop star on the planet right now. And I've also said that she's the top vocalist, but then Adele got off the bench and reminded me that Adele is the top vocalist.
Yeah.
However, Lady Gaga got up there with a very traditional dress, sang an American Standard song and a jazz song.
Yeah.
And she slayed it. She is this generation's Barbra Streisand. Nice. She is out of this world.
I think I'm with it.
Talented.
I think I'm with it. I agree.
And my wife and I 6 months ago thought about going to Vegas to see Lady Gaga in a smaller venue.
She
it's
in Vegas?
only jazz. So she has a residency in Vegas.
Really?
But she only sings jazz music.
That's awesome.
Yes, and it's at the MGM where they were for the deal. But I invite you to, if you're not a fan of Lady Gaga, look, she's in her mid to late 30s now.
So open your horizons, take a peek at more of her work.
She's more than the meat dresses and all the stuff that she did to get attention 15 years ago. She is an astonishingly good vocalist. Yeah. It made me crazy when she first came out. They compared her to Madonna. Madonna can't hold Gaga's microphone when it comes to writing songs and music and things like that. It was just the dress and the sort of shock value that she did. She has grown out of that. Now she's in movies. There's nothing this woman can't do entertainment-wise. Gaga is the freaking bomb.
She has a show on Netflix. You ever watched it?
About behind the scenes.
Yeah,
the documentary.
Like the making of one of her albums.
It's called like 5'2".
It was awesome.
Yeah,
it was really good. You see what they, you see how they push and they go through. A little dramatic at times, but that made sense as well.
Well, she has some sort of health condition where she gets a lot of overall body pain, and she has to get like reflexology and massages and stuff to she overcomes all that. Anyway, even if you're not a fan of her, I invite you to go to YouTube and watch Gaga sing those jazz stuff. So moving on.
It's like real quick. It's like when people don't like John Mayer and they still think like A Body is a Wonderland. Is the only song he's ever made. And I'm like, come on, people. Like, that's like taking Gaga for her meat dresses. So moving forward, I also think Gaga is great.
So we are talking about the 2022 Grammys. The next thing on the Grammys is Lady Gaga at age 36 or whatever she is. Here's the deal. She is the old guard now. This is what's freaking me out a little bit.
Sure.
Because every 10 or 15 years, there's this youth movement and entertainment.
Yeah.
And who are the biggest pop stars now? Billie Eilish, age 20, and Olivia Rodrigo, who won 3 awards at age 19.
Yep.
Right there. Her won some Grammys, and now she's like 5 Grammys. She's 24.
Yep.
Dua Lipa is 25-ish. There is a big youth movement going on. Gail is 17. Gaga, and now is old.
Yep.
And the established old guard at age 36. The pop music for the next 20 years, at least 15 years, is going to be Billie Eilish and Olivia Rodrigo. Mm-hmm. And because there's the face of pop music today.
Yep. Gail's going to push her way in there a little bit. Yep.
So, by the way, Billie Eilish did the song Happier Than Ever.
Yep.
Wore a Taylor Hawkins t-shirt. And she crushed it.
Nice.
Too. And then when Olivia Rodrigo came out and sang, Billie Eilish was quite pumped to see Olivia. And it's fun to see musicians and entertainment and stars happy to see other stuff. We forget they're human beings.
Yeah.
And they're happy to see the people they listen to as well.
And Billie, as many of you might know by now, is my girl, Billie and Phineas, who I'm a big fan of. She got goose-egged last night. I was pretty sad to see it. But she has won many awards, and I think they dispersed a few more this year. So apparently she got the old gooser. But Billie, as we talked about before, it means nothing, and you know that as well. I loved the new album.
Right.
Anyways.
So 2 more items. We're going to talk about Her and then Silk Sonic, the last. So Her is the name of the artist. It's HER. It stands for Have Everything Revealed, which is an ironic acronym for her because the real woman, her name is Gabriella Gabby. She likes to keep her personal life and her identity kind of closed. Mm-hmm. And so she wears very dark glasses, that are oversized glasses, and doesn't do a lot of interviews, that kind of thing. Anyway, she's 24 years old. She's already won 4 Grammys going in. She's an R&B artist. I think a lot of her, H.E.R. Anyway, she closed the show with Lenny Kravitz and Travis Barker. Travis Barker is the drummer for Blink-182, Kourtney Kardashian's boyfriend. They're having a baby together. So Her came out and sang some songs, and then Lenny jumped on stage. Travis was there the whole time. And the mix of this thing was horrible. I don't know what it was like in the stadium on the TV, but you have Her there. Lenny Kravitz, who's in his 50s, looks like a freaking rock star, like he's 20 years old. He had the whole getup on. He looks amazing.
Yeah.
And everything was just loud. They had everything cranked to 12. Huh. I couldn't understand. I even asked my wife, I was like, is it just me? She goes, no. She goes, I can't even hear her sing.
Really?
And her vocals is a big part of who she is, and really good.
I'll have to watch that.
And I don't know why the Grammys or whoever put it on, CBS, don't they test these things? What I mean, you're a music producer.
It's live, right?
It is live.
A lot of things can go wrong.
Yeah.
A board could go out, and all of a sudden you're on your backup board. There's just so many things that can happen live. And to imagine that every single one will go over smooth, impossible. Sounds like they maybe had a problem, maybe had a technical issue, maybe had to use a backup board. I don't know. I'd have to watch it.
Well, she's an excellent guitar player.
It should be perfect.
Yeah, and her and Lenny were wailing on the guitar, but it all just sounded like
muddy and dirty.
Just bad noise. It was just awful. And
that's too bad.
I hope the recording on the YouTube world, you know, they remix it. I don't know if it's possible, if that's even a thing. If they captured it live.
They should have those individual channels and fix it up.
So this was their big moment, the Grammys, where they pulled old school, new school all together. Yeah. Everybody closed the show. They rocked out, blues and rock, and they messed it all up. But don't take that away from her. Yeah. But if you're a fan of R&B at all, check this woman out.
Absolutely. Yeah. She is fire.
Okay, so the very live I've left the last for the best.
The best.
We're talking about the 2022 Grammys. What happened 2 days ago? Silk Sonic. Man, oh man, I don't know what to say about these guys. If you don't know who they are, it is Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak as a duo, but they have a band along too. And they have reemerged the smooth sounds of 70s R&B and pop. And they put out an album. Their first hit was Leave That Door Open. They won 3 Grammys last night. So when they performed, they were dressed in Elvis costumes. And then the rest of the night, they had the oversized lapels and 70s leisure suits. Bruno Mars, who is today's Sammy Davis Jr., was smoking cigarettes. And Anderson .Paak had a wig on with long black hair that he was flipping around humorously. But before you get there, Mike, I just want to say, if these guys weren't so immensely talented, this would come across as hokey. Yeah. But they pulled it off.
They did it.
And then they had 2 bits. This was the funniest thing Trevor Noah did. He sat down and interviewed Anderson .Paak. We had this bit 8 months ago on our show, but he only interviewed Anderson .Paak, and he goes, "This is Silk Sonic is Anderson .Paak," and it's like, "You're doing great, and everybody loves you, Anderson." And then he turned to Bruno and goes, "Bruno, you're doing pretty good too." And then Bruno just sat there stone-faced like he was mad the whole time. And, of course, it was a bit. Yeah. And then the last thing I'll say about Silk Sonic is they got up there for their last – every time they won an award, they stood up and they did sort of like smooth movement as I do the movement on radio. But Anderson .Paak got up there and he goes, "We're trying to stay humble, but in the business we call this a clean sweep." And then he flipped his hair around. And that's all he said. And that was his acceptance speech. It was so hilarious. But check out Silk Sonic.
For those of you, I'll go ahead and play some Silk Sonic for you now if you're not familiar with them. But me and Darren had a running bit for a while because it was Bruno Mars, and everybody knows Bruno, and then Anderson .Paak. And we got yelled at on YouTube like 9 months ago because we were talking about Bruno for the first song, and everyone got really mad at us. So we've run a bit that Silk Sonic is composed of Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak. And anyways.
Or the other way around, Anderson .Paak and Bruno Mars.
The other way around. All right, well, let's give everybody a taste. This is going to be Leave the Door Open by Silk Sonic.
Yeah.